Humanity's rise in the galaxy is an extraordinary tale of struggle, survival, and triumph. When first encountered by advanced alien civilizations, humans seemed insignificant. Their physical abilities were weak compared to the towering giants of the galaxy, and their technology was primitive by comparison. Earth itself was a planet still recovering from its own violent history. Wars, famine, and environmental destruction had left humanity bruised, yet it had never broken. In their early days, humans showed an unmatched ability to adapt. When they encountered more powerful species, they were often underestimated, treated as inconsequential. But humanity had something the others lacked: resilience. The first alien encounter that nearly wiped them out became the catalyst for their unyielding determination. Despite being outgunned and outmanned, humans found ways to survive. They learned quickly from each loss, and rather than retreating, they adapted. Every setback taught them how to be more cunning, more resourceful, more intelligent. The first critical moment came when humanity faced the Varanis, a race known for their superior physical strength and technological dominance. At first, humans were no match for their overwhelming power. The Varanis' warships were far more advanced, and their soldiers were genetically engineered to be physically perfect. Yet humanity's refusal to surrender was evident. Instead of meeting brute force with brute force, they sought another way. They studied the Varanis, learned their weaknesses, and identified vulnerabilities others had missed. It wasn't about strength, it was about intellect. Through a series of clever guerrilla tactics and unconventional warfare, humans began to turn the tide. The Varanis could not predict humanity's behavior, nor could they anticipate how humans would use the environment to their advantage. Eventually, through sheer ingenuity, humans defeated the Varanis in ways that made other species reconsider their initial judgment of humanity. The Varanis, once seen as invincible, were humbled, and humans became known not for their size or power but for their ability to outsmart the odds. As they gained a reputation, humanity's true potential started to unfold. They didn't have the strongest soldiers, the fastest ships, or the deadliest weapons, but they had something else: the collective willpower to persevere, the drive to never stop learning, and the relentless pursuit of progress. Over time, humanity's adaptability became their greatest weapon. They harnessed technology faster than anyone had predicted, quickly catching up to species that had taken centuries to evolve their advancements. Humans, unlike the other species who saw themselves as supreme, understood the value of change. They constantly improved themselves, their technologies, and their alliances. It was in their nature to take risks and break boundaries. The galaxy learned an important lesson: underestimate humanity at your peril. Despite lacking the sheer physical attributes of their neighbors, humans' minds were an unmatched force, curious, adaptive, and capable of changing the course of history with every decision they made. They may not have been the strongest, but no one could match their ability to evolve, survive, and thrive in the face of adversity. Humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to unite, and that was what transformed them from a fledgling species into one capable of challenging the galaxy's most powerful forces. When humanity first began colonizing other planets, they were still scattered, each group isolated with limited resources. However, as threats from more advanced species grew, humanity learned that they could not survive divided. It was their unity that would prove to be the key to their ascendancy. As humans began to form coalitions, they understood that working together, sharing knowledge, and pooling resources was the only way to overcome their challenges. These early alliances weren't just about military might, they were about collaboration on every level. Scientists from different colonies exchanged ideas, engineers shared blueprints, and leaders came together to form strategies. The combination of diverse expertise from all corners of humanity allowed them to accelerate their technological development far beyond what anyone expected. One of the earliest breakthroughs came from the human ability to innovate. Where other species relied on tried and tested methods, humans had no choice but to think outside the box. They weren't just copying technology, they were improving it. What had once been advanced alien technology was quickly outpaced by human ingenuity. Their warships, once primitive by galactic standards, soon became agile and powerful machines, designed with a blend of speed, stealth, and devastating firepower. Humans were quick to reverse engineer alien technology and use it to their advantage, adding their own unique enhancements. They didn't just replicate, they made it better. The development of new technologies became a hallmark of humanity's rise. Their ships didn't just rely on brute force. They employed advanced cloaking devices, superior energy shielding, and weapons that were both precise and deadly. The human ability to think quickly and adapt on the fly made them unpredictable, a nightmare for even the most seasoned alien commanders. Where others might have a superior weapon, humanity's strategic use of technology allowed them to overcome even the most powerful adversaries. Human alliances also played a significant role. In a galaxy where cooperation between species was rare and often fraught with tension, humanity was different. They made alliances with races that others considered too weak or irrelevant. By sharing their resources and knowledge, humanity grew stronger, and their reputation spread throughout the galaxy. Other species began to fear the prospect of facing a united human front, where every human colony could mobilize quickly and efficiently. Even the most dangerous races thought twice before confronting the unified power of humanity. What made humanity stand out wasn't just their ability to innovate or their technological prowess, it was their ability to adapt. When faced with new challenges, humans didn't rely on a single solution. They constantly adapted their tactics, creating new strategies and countermeasures to deal with threats. When faced with a superior enemy, humans would study their patterns, learn their tactics, and find ways to turn the tables. Their ability to adjust and outthink their enemies became legendary, making them a force no one could easily defeat. By the time humanity had firmly established its place in the galaxy, they were no longer just survivors, they were conquerors. But the path to this dominance was never easy. It required every human to put aside individual interests for the collective good. In doing so, humanity proved that their unity, creativity, and willingness to innovate were more than enough to rival the mightiest species the galaxy had to offer. The galaxy would soon learn that, when humanity stood together, there was no force capable of stopping them. Humanity's strength wasn't just in their ingenuity or unity, but in their unmatched ability to think strategically. While other species relied on brute force or sheer numbers, humans became masters of tactics and warfare. Their ability to outmaneuver their enemies, to predict moves and exploit weaknesses, set them apart in a galaxy filled with powerful adversaries. As humans gained influence, their strategic brilliance began to emerge as the key factor in their dominance. The first major display of human military ingenuity came during a war with the Krillians, an ancient species with technologically superior weapons. The Krillians were known for their overwhelming firepower, and their invasion seemed inevitable. But humanity, always looking for a way to turn the tables, used their intelligence to break the Krillian invasion. They didn't engage them in open battle, where they would have been crushed. Instead, they used guerrilla tactics, hitting Krillian supply lines and ambushing their ships in ways that seemed almost like a shadow war. Human commanders quickly recognized that the Krillians, for all their might, relied too heavily on brute strength and predictable tactics. Using this knowledge, they set traps, lured Krillian forces into unfavorable positions, and used misdirection to undermine their confidence. With each battle, the Krillians grew more uncertain, their superiority fading as humans displayed an uncanny ability to outthink them. In the end, the Krillian invasion collapsed, not because of superior weapons or forces, but because humanity had used their minds to outsmart their enemies at every turn. But it wasn't just about individual victories. Humans became known for their ability to orchestrate large-scale operations with surgical precision. Rather than relying on overwhelming force, they would exploit weaknesses in enemy defenses, systematically dismantling their opponents' strategies. Their ability to conduct complex, multi-front campaigns left their enemies scrambling to keep up. What made them so effective was that they never fought the same battle twice. Each engagement brought something new, forcing their adversaries to constantly adapt, while humans seemed to anticipate and counter every move. Psychological warfare became another tool in humanity's arsenal. While some species relied on physical intimidation, humans understood that to break an enemy, you had to first break their will. They would infiltrate minds with misinformation, make their enemies question their allies, and create distrust where there had once been unity. They knew that even the strongest species could fall apart from within if their morale was shaken. Human commanders would often turn an enemy's own strategy against them, twisting their logic to sow confusion and disorder. This strategic brilliance wasn't limited to large-scale conflicts either. Humans were exceptional at picking the right moments to strike, understanding that sometimes a single, decisive action could turn the tide of war. They weren't in a rush for victory, they understood that timing, patience, and the right calculation were just as important as raw strength. By the time humanity had faced off against some of the galaxy's most formidable species, they were no longer seen as weak or insignificant. Instead, they were feared for their ability to outthink, outmaneuver, and ultimately destroy their enemies through sheer intellect. They understood that the best victories were not won by overwhelming firepower, but by anticipating every move, exploiting every vulnerability, and always being one step ahead. Humanity's rise to the top of the galactic food chain wasn't a result of superior weapons or numbers, it was because they had mastered the art of war in a way no one else could match. By the time humanity had reached the pinnacle of galactic power, their reputation had spread far and wide. What had once been dismissed as a primitive species, struggling to survive, now stood as the undisputed rulers of the galaxy. Their rise wasn't marked by a single victory or event, it was the culmination of centuries of adaptation, innovation, and strategic brilliance. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now it was paying the price. The final test of humanity's strength came when they faced the Valdari, a race of warlords who had conquered countless worlds and stood as one of the most feared factions in the galaxy. The Valdari were known for their ruthless tactics, their unmatched military technology, and their brutal conquests. When they declared war on humanity, many believed it was a death sentence for the human race. The odds were heavily stacked against them, yet once again, humanity demonstrated that their greatest asset wasn't their ships or weapons, it was their relentless will to win. The Valdari expected humanity to collapse under the weight of their superior forces, but what they didn't anticipate was humanity's ability to learn, adapt, and innovate at an unprecedented pace. The humans had been preparing for this moment for years, studying the Valdari, understanding their tactics, and devising countermeasures. When the Valdari finally launched their invasion, humanity didn't respond in the expected manner. Instead of meeting them head-on, humans utilized their deep understanding of Valdari tactics, turning their own weapons against them. The battle didn't just involve military tactics, it was a battle of wills. The Valdari, who had crushed countless civilizations through sheer force, found themselves frustrated at every turn. Their technology, once thought to be invincible, was rendered ineffective against humanity's innovative countermeasures. Every time the Valdari struck, humanity adapted. Every time they tried to overwhelm, humanity outsmarted them. In the end, it wasn't a war of attrition, it was a war of ideas, and humanity had proven to be the better strategist. As the Valdari forces crumbled, the rest of the galaxy watched in awe. The once feared warlords had been bested not by superior firepower, but by the ingenuity and relentless determination of humans. This victory solidified humanity's place at the top of the galactic hierarchy. No longer were they seen as underdogs or outcasts. They were the ultimate force in the galaxy, respected, feared, and revered by every other species. But humanity's ascension didn't just change the balance of power, it changed the very way the galaxy viewed strength. Other species had always relied on their physical attributes, advanced technologies, or overwhelming numbers, but humanity had shown that true power came from adaptability, intelligence, and unity. They had demonstrated that a species with nothing but their minds could not only survive in a hostile galaxy but rise to the top, outthinking, outmaneuvering, and ultimately overcoming even the most powerful forces. As humanity stood victorious, they knew their dominance would be challenged again. But they no longer feared the unknown. They had proven that no matter the threat, no matter the odds, they could adapt and conquer. The galaxy had learned a harsh lesson: when it came to the human race, underestimating them would always be the greatest mistake. Humanity's legacy wasn't just one of military power, it was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, the unyielding drive to adapt, evolve, and rise above every challenge. And as long as they stood united, no force in the galaxy would ever be able to stop them.